What if I told you that everything that happened with Tim Godfrey and Oxlade in October 2025, the outrage, the open letter, the division in the Nigerian Christian community, what if none of it was an accident? What if Tim Godfrey had done this before, exactly the same way? In 2015, exactly 10 years before the Oxlade collaboration, Tim Godfrey released a song with a secular artist. There was outrage, there was backlash, Christians called him worldly, they said he was backsliding, and then his career went to places it had never been before. Nara, Travis Green, Kirk Franklin, The Experience concert, international recognition. And then, exactly 10 years later, he did it again. So today, I'm not just asking, is Tim Godfrey going secular? I'm asking a far more dangerous question. Is Tim Godfrey the smartest man in Nigerian gospel music?
What is going on, family? Welcome back to Exclusive Gospel, where we don't just report on Nigerian gospel music. We go deep. We dig into the stories behind the stories. And today's video is probably the most important investigation I have done on this channel. If you are new here, you are in for something different today. What I do on this channel every week is break down everything happening in the world of Nigerian and African gospel music. But today is not a regular news day. Today, I am going to take you through a full investigation, a 10-year timeline, and by the end of this video, you are going to come to your own conclusion about whether Tim Godfrey is a man being led by the Spirit, a man being led by strategy, or, and this is the uncomfortable one, whether those two things can be the same thing. Before we go any further, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. This is the kind of content you cannot afford to miss. Oh yeah, let's begin from the beginning. Let me quickly set the foundation for those who may not have followed this story closely. In October 2025, Tim Godfrey, founder of Extreme Crew, one of the most decorated names in Nigerian gospel music, released a single called Infinity, featuring Oxlade, an Afrobeat star, a secular artist. The reaction from the gospel community was immediate and intense. People were not just commenting, they were leaving. Longtime fans said they felt betrayed. Church leaders were quoted. Twitter was not kind. And Tim Godfrey, for several days, said absolutely nothing. Then he released an open letter titled To the Labeled. In it, he spoke about his own lifetime of being called worldly, rebellious, unspiritual. He framed the collaboration as a deliberate act of grace, a way of saying that the gospel is for broken people, not perfect ones. He described his new album, titled No Label, released on October 31st, 2025, as, and I'm quoting him, a movement for freedom, love, and inclusion for anyone who has ever been boxed in by expectations. Powerful words. Genuinely powerful. But here's where I need you to pause, because I went back, 10 years back, and what I found changed everything. The year is 2015. Tim Godfrey is a well-respected gospel artist in Nigeria. He has been in the game since 2003. He has a dedicated following, he is known in church circles, but he is not yet the international Tim Godfrey that millions of people know today. In 2015, he releases a song called Amen. It is a gospel song, a praise anthem, and it starts doing well. But then, Tim Godfrey makes a decision that sends shockwaves through the Nigerian Christian community. He goes back into the studio. He remixes Amen, and the featuring artist on that remix is Skales, a secular rapper from the EME label, known for hip-hop, street music, mainstream Nigerian entertainment. The backlash is immediate. This is 2015, before Twitter controversies had the same scale they have today, but inside the Nigerian gospel community, people were talking. The same language they used 10 years later came out then. Worldly, backsliding, selling out. What is this gospel artist doing? Now, I want you to really sit with this, because here is the question nobody seemed to ask in 2025 when the Oxlade story broke. Has Tim Godfrey been here before? Yes, he has. Almost word for word.
A secular featuring credit, public backlash, gospel community divided, the same Tim Godfrey at the center of it all. But what happened next, after the Skales controversy, is where the story gets truly fascinating. After the Skales remix controversy in 2015 and 2016, something remarkable happened to Tim Godfrey's career. Not immediately, but steadily, consistently, undeniably. In 2016, Tim Godfrey was invited to minister at the Experience Concert, Nigeria's most prestigious gospel music event organized by House on the Rock. This is the concert that draws over 500,000 people. This is the stage that defines the very top tier of Nigerian gospel music. Tim Godfrey stood on that stage, and he has been a regular feature there ever since.
In 2018, just 3 years after the Skales backlash, Tim Godfrey released Nara, featuring Travis Green, a collaboration with one of the biggest gospel artists in America. That song currently has over 170 million views on YouTube. 170 million. That is not a viral moment. That is a legacy. That is the song that permanently placed Tim Godfrey in the conversation of the greatest Nigerian gospel artists of all time. In 2019, he collaborated with Israel Houghton. He was nominated for Best International Artist at the Premier Gospel Awards. He won multiple awards across the African continent. In short, from 2015, the year of the Skales controversy, to 2020, Tim Godfrey went from a well-known Nigerian gospel artist to a truly global one. Now tell me, is that a coincidence? So now I have to ask the question that I know some of you are already thinking. Was any of this accidental? Because if you do something once and it causes controversy, that is a mistake. If you do the exact same thing 10 years later in the same pattern with the same silence followed by the same open letter style of response, that is not a mistake. That is a method. But wait a minute. Why are you watching without subscribing to this channel? Now is the time to click the subscribe button and hit that notification bell icon so you can get notified of hot weekly videos. Have you done it? Are you sure? Are you really sure? Okay, let's get back to the video. Here is where I land on this.
That Tim Godfrey understands something that most gospel artists in Nigeria refuse to acknowledge. That controversy is a distribution strategy. That when the church talks about you, even when they are angry, they are spreading your name. They are sending your music into living rooms, group chats, and church conversations it would never have reached on its own. I think Tim Godfrey genuinely believes in the message of grace and inclusion, but he also knows that wrapping that message in a controversial secular collaboration is the fastest way to make that message go further than a regular gospel single ever could.
What I find deeply interesting is that in his open letter, he called the album No Label, a movement for freedom from boxes. But think about it. The greatest publicity any album can have is a controversy that makes people argue about whether it even deserves to be called gospel. He created the box, and then he invited people to argue about whether he was inside it or outside it. Is that genius? I think it might be. Is it something every gospel artist should try? Absolutely not. Tim Godfrey has spent over 2 decades building the credibility and the spiritual capital to survive this conversation. A younger, less established artist doing the same thing would not come out on the other side the way Tim Godfrey did. But the most important thing I want to say is this. Whether his strategy is deliberate or led purely by conviction, the result is the same. More people are talking about Tim Godfrey in 2025 than they were before October. And if No Label produces even one song that reaches the level of Nara, nobody will be talking about Oxlade anymore. They will be talking about the music. So let me ask you directly, and I want a real answer in the comments, not just amen or God bless you. Do you think Tim Godfrey planned this? Do you think the 10-year pattern is a strategy, a spiritual pattern, or just a remarkable coincidence? And does it change how you feel about him or his music? I genuinely want to know where you stand. Drop it below. Let's have the real conversation, because that is exactly what this channel is for. If this video opened your eyes to something you hadn't considered before, please share it. Send it to your WhatsApp group. Send it to your pastor. Send it to the person in your life who was the most outraged by the Oxlade collaboration, because I promise you, this changes the conversation entirely. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next every single week. This is exclusive gospel, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless you.